Hey, it's Vincent here from Vincent Games, your untapped source of MTG info, tips and discussion. Welcome to another episode of the vlog. This weekend just gone, I was taking part in an Axion event. There is a shop in Amersham called Axion Now or something like that. That might not be the exact name. Pretty sure that's what it is. And they did what they called a modern for goodies instead of their GPs that they normally do, because there's no more GPTs that are run at the moment. So what it was just a competitive modern tournament, a comp rail event. Axion in the UK Magic scene are pretty famous for putting on big prize support. This event was no exception. It wasn't necessarily a premier event, but it still had some pretty awesome prize support. I chose Affinity for the tournament, and I ended up coming 6th overall. I went 5-1 in the Swiss, and then lost to Death Shadow in the top 8. And everyone in the top 8 got the choice of, there was a pool of expeditions that you could choose from. So I was able to choose, even though I didn't win, an Arid Mesa Battle for Zendikar. Arid Mesa there. It's not the best light at the moment, but that is what I managed to win. So that was pretty cool. And if you came first, the guy who won, he basically got a box of Modern Masters, which is pretty cool. But also he did, the guy who runs it, Francois, if I'm pronouncing the name wrong, really sorry. And he also put on another kind of top 8, we called it like the Platinum top 8 or the Diamond top 8. So 9th through to 16th got effectively like their own little top 8. And the winner got the choice of some expeditions as well. And then he did a chocolate top 8, which he called the chocolate top 8. So the people below 16th, the next 8 people below 16th, were doing it again, their own little playoff for the chance to win more expeditions as well, I think, or masterpieces. I think there was an Ensnaring Bridge masterpiece up for grabs as well. So it was really cool. It's lots of stuff being given away, and booster packs for positive win records as well. So the prizes are insane. The really clever thing is, a lot of people, if they don't make top 8, they just drop and leave. So even if you just went 3-3, you get the chance to actually play on for an expedition or a masterpiece of some kind as well, which is just really nice. So I just encouraged everyone to kind of keep playing, which is really cool. So it's kind of like a little wooden spoon or a booby prize. And from what I understand, no great cost to the TO for running. So it's really good. It created it was really unique, because normally you go to these kind of events and you have like, the top 8 people that are doing really well, and then that's it. Like, there's no real kind of incentive to carry on playing. So having that little thing going on was really nice, and I think that was a good shout. It's one of the reasons why his events are so popular. So it's kind of a win-win for everyone. But myself, reflecting on the event, I was quite happy overall with how I did. I was taking Affinity, and I haven't played it in a comp rail event before. I'd only played a handful of games with it on the run up to the tournament, so doing quite well with it was very satisfying. I think it's a testament to the deck's power. For example, one of the games I mulliganed to 5 and to power out a Master of Ethereum on turn 1 and another artifact along with it, and just start attacking for 7 from turn 2. And every artifact I was laying from that point on was just increasing, the damage just being done. And because of that just insane start, from a mulligan to 5, I just stole that game, which is just why the deck has got the appeal it's got. If you're looking for a deck to play in Modern, then Affinity is a solid choice. The 2 matches I lost, one was against Affinity and one was against Death Shadow. The first one was against someone who has clearly been playing Affinity for quite a while, and I was fully expecting to lose that matchup. I don't usually recommend having that kind of mentality of, oh god, I'm just going to lose this matchup because of X or Y. It's a terrible, terrible way of thinking, and you will just lose because of it. However, I was very humble going into the match, expecting to lose. I didn't think, oh, I'm definitely going to lose, but I knew the odds were against me just because they've been playing the deck longer than I have, and they appear to be quite, a good player. So I was just expecting to perhaps miss something or not be aware of something that maybe they would. As it happened, game 1, Game 1 I was on the draw, I think, and I basically just got steamrolled by what they presented and lost. Game 2 was frustrating because I didn't realise one of their lands that they had in play was an Inkmoth Nexus, and they had lethal on the table with Infect. I attacked with everything, didn't leave any blockers up because he was dead in 2 swings. They just went, okay, fine, no blocks, untap. Make Inkmoth Nexus a creature, attach Cranial Plating with it for exactly 10 poison, and I just died on the spot. And I was just annoyed because I'd lost, I just didn't realise what the land was, and I should have just been paying attention to the game, basically. I just lost a bit of focus on what their land was and then died to a 10-10 for no real reason other than I didn't realise that they had an Inkmoth Nexus in play. If I'd realised they had an Inkmoth Nexus in play, I would have kept the blocker back. So that was a bit of a pain, and yeah, that cost me. And then but that was in the Swiss, so that was fine. I still managed to make top 8, but then in the top 8, I accidentally recorded my life incorrectly, and then committed to no blocks, taking what I didn't realise was lethal damage. I thought it was fine, I'd be alive on 1, and annoyingly the judge said, no, you declared no blocks now, so you just lose. So that meant I dropped a game, and then the game after that, I just wasn't really in. I got choked on mana with 2 etched champions in my hand. I couldn't play them both out, and my opponent able to keep me off Metalcraft so that I couldn't cast enough stuff every turn. It felt like I think he killed something of mine, and I wasn't able to flood the board very effectively. So it was a bit of a shame, really. But yeah, the key things for me though were, looking back, were just remaining focused on the game. It's hard sometimes when you think, oh, you pick up a deck that you're not very familiar with and you make a mistake with the deck because you're not familiar with it. You can always forgive yourself for making those kind of mistakes because you think, well, I'm just not very good with this deck and I'll learn to be better. Whereas mistakes that I made there were just me being an idiot, like just not realizing certain things. And I think I ate well, I drank well, I made sure I had plenty to eat and drink between the rounds, and I wasn't zoning in on specific things to the detriment of noticing other things. It's actually the opposite. I think I was actually a little bit too casual in the games. Like I was thinking, this is fine because of my outs or what have you, and then just maybe just losing sight a little bit of the cards my opponent had and the life total thing as well. That's an example of just getting a verbal confirmation from your opponent of what life totals you are on. As I was doing that at some points, but at that key one, I didn't. So there we are. And it's always those one moments where you don't do something that that it all seems to unfold and go really badly wrong. So focus is important, and even if you're concentrating and you think you're aware of everything that's happening, it does sometimes pay just to kind of take a couple of seconds. You don't want to play slowly. That's not ideal. You don't want to sit there and agonize over every decision, but it doesn't hurt just to kind of, like when your opponent passes the turn, just to, rather than just snap, untap, draw, just go, right, look at their board state, look at my board state, just a couple of seconds. As you do it, double check life totals, look at the lands they have, look at what they've got, ask how many cards they have in hand. Is the line that you're taking, is the play you're about to make, is that the right course of action? So you're just having that couple of seconds of thought just before you then commit to anything in your turn, so you don't do anything that's just a little bit silly or just a misplay later in that turn that you regret because you just didn't notice something. Focus is really key, and it is hard. You know, you play multiple rounds of Magic, and it's easy to get burnt out and just miss stuff. You know, we're human at the end of the day, and you know, it just takes a moment to kind of just blink and miss stuff. The last thing I want to share from the event is an amusing little bad beat story, something a bit more light-hearted, and I can laugh about it now, and my friend can too. Now that it's kind of done with, but at the time he was not very happy. So my friend was playing. I think it was a winning in basically. He needed to win this game to make top 8, and he's in a fairly pivotal moment of the game where his opponent has just about landed, I think, some arbitrary amount of threat, and up until that point, my mate was controlling the game, doing quite well. He was playing Eldrazi Tron, and his opponent presents some threats, and he's like, fine, whatever. And then a gust of wind from the open window behind him blows the top card of his library off of his deck, and literally just reveals it like on the table. And his opponent and him just kind of look, and the card is Ratchet Bomb, and this would be enough to get him out of that situation. He could just wipe the board of his opponent's threats and basically be fine. But a judge gets called, and he has to shuffle the revealed card away into his library and draw a different card for his turn. And it's not a Ratchet Bomb, it's something completely useless, and he goes on to lose the game. And as I say, I can laugh about it now because it's just so absurd. Don't play near open windows, basically, is the takeaway from this, and you should be fine. I don't know what other natural kind of disasters you need to be mindful of in Magic, but rogue gusts of wind can seriously affect your game. So bear that in mind when you're next preparing for a tournament or choosing your seat. So yeah, that's about it from me today. If you enjoyed this video, then give it a like, share the video if you found the little story amusing, or someone might benefit from the mistakes that I made, the learning that I'm trying to kind of share with you guys. If you're interested in even more content like this, then why not subscribe? It will keep you up to date with all the videos. I also record a podcast, Glimmer of Genius, and it is going to be uploaded to this channel very, very soon, so keep an eye out for that. And lastly, I want to know what you are focusing on in Magic at the moment in your games. Is it as simple as just being aware of the board state? Are you focusing on learning the deck that you're playing at the moment? Affinity, for example, has very widely accepted sideboard like strategies, ways to sideboard. Are you focusing on that for your deck at the moment? Are you just kind of trying to focus on keeping focused in the games that you're playing? Let me know in the comments below. I want to hear your thoughts and your feedback. But that's it from me for now. Thanks again for watching, and stay tuned for more.